So, Michael, are you looking forward to Independence Day?
I suppose so, as long as Iran ends up beating the United States on that day. I don't know how the World Cup is configuring, but that would be funny.
Well, Iran are out of the World Cup.
Oh,
I
yes, sorry,
I
yes.
thought you meant like they can't beat them in the World Cup, but they can beat them in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously your wife is American. Like, is she hyped for the 250th anniversary of the American Declaration of Independence?
Well, of course, no, because she did the most important thing of all, which is declaring independence from the United States by moving here.
Yeah, yeah, that's what
Alpha.
everyone should do.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Luke. And this week we are celebrating Independence Day and indeed the 30-year anniversary of fucking Independence Day. There we go, that's it. So Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Independence Day? That is the movie, not the concept.
Yeah, well, it's the 250th anniversary, as we said in our opening. To America's independence, or for America's independence, of course, back in 1776. There you go. And yeah, it's the 30th anniversary of the movie Independence Day, which came out in 1996. So we were like, yeah, let's review this movie because, yeah, 30 years and, of course, that 250th celebration. I don't know exactly if there's a word for like 250, like a 250 year anniversary, because I know.
Yeah, because obviously 200 is bicentennial.
Yeah. There's like there's nothing that. What is it? Is it just called the 250th like celebrations this year in America?
There will be a fancy Latin word for it because there's a fancy Latin word for everything, but I assume they're calling it. I mean, maybe quarter of a millennium celebration. I don't know.
Wow.
Who gives a shit?
Yes. Who cares? Anyway, Independence Day is a 1996 American science fiction action thriller film directed by Roland Emmerich. And he, of course, is American as apple pie, Roland Emmerich. So yeah, no, he's of course not American.
Well, no one's truly American because Americans are all immigrants.
Yeah, that's a great point. Apart from the Native Americans, it was directed, of course, by Roland Emmerich, written by Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich together. It stars Will Smith, Bill Pullman, Jeff Goldblum, Mary McDonnell, Judd Hirsch, Margaret Collin, Randy Quaid, Robert Loggia, James Redhorn, and Harvey Fierstein. Okay. It was released on July the 3rd, 1996 in the United States, which of course makes sense. They weren't going to release this in August, were they? That would be stupid. So, Michael, can you tell me what the budget was for Independence Day?
Well, it had a lot of actors in it, didn't it? And a lot going on. But then, I don't know, this might sound retarded. I'm going to say 60 million.
Okay, no, that's not a bad guess. That's not a bad guess at all. It's 75, so yeah, a bit higher. But yeah, like, well, what is that in today's money? That's
a lot.
Yeah, it's probably like 200 million.
Yeah, see, that's why I was like thinking 60 million. Like, it feels like movies didn't cost that much in the 90s, but yeah.
Well, yeah, this one did because, of course, there was quite a lot of CGI, not by today's standards or even the sequel standards, of course. But here we go. Here's the big one, Michael. Independence Day, of course, we are reviewing it, because of its anniversary, but, it had a big cultural impact as well. Can you tell me what the box office was for Independence Day?
I mean, I am thinking it through. I just want to think it through. And I don't think I'm being unimaginably stupid when I say 800 million.
Oh, wow. That's a really good guess.
Hey!
Yeah, so obviously a few years earlier, Jurassic Park, I think, got over $1 billion.
The Billy.
From what I can recall, or was it The Lion King? I'm not sure. But yeah, those two were close to, or maybe went over the billion mark. And this movie, Independence Day, grossed $817 million, which again is probably like over $2 billion in today's money. So yeah, very, very successful, this movie. So, Michael, the American public in the mid-90s, they clearly loved it. So can you tell me whether you liked Independence Day?
Well, you know what, Luke? I'd seen this movie before, and I'm going to say right now that I actually think that the first time I watched it, I think I rated it a fraction too low. I think that this movie is not good, necessarily, but it's I don't think it's egregiously bad. I would say this movie is pretty average, and it's watchable. I'm kind of, I mean, as you can tell, basically what I'm saying is, for me, it's in that category of, I did technically like it, just not with any extreme enthusiasm. But technically speaking, if we're just going off a binary here, this movie for me just gets over that hump into being more likable than dislikable. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, I think this is an okay movie. I don't think I can't dislike it. I think compared to other disaster movies and other Roland Emmerich movies, like there's some effort that's put into this, and and it's actually, again, some moments are quite good, but it is stupid, of course. But it's always going to be like stupid, naturally it is. And yeah, at the time, like there was a lot of criticism around it being like a dumbed down, like popcorn movie. But I don't know. I'm watching it again in the year 2026, and I'm like, what? This is smarter than a lot of shit that's been put out in recent years. And yeah, the biggest thing I can say from it, well, my biggest impression, and this doesn't really have anything to do whether I like it or not, is it's the most movie ever.
It is a very movie.
Yeah, like the dialogue, the characters, it's just so Hollywood. And yeah, like the lines from Will Smith in this movie, it's like, yeah, this is like peak like Hollywood, what you imagine like a Hollywood movie or a Hollywood blockbuster would be. And this is it. For instance, its sequel, Independence Day Resurgence, which came out in 2016, that is worse than this, considerably worse than this. And there's been a lot of...
I haven't seen it, and I do want to, because I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, there's been a lot of slop served up in the last 15 years, which is just worse than this. There is like a certain like charm about this.
It's a 90s thing.
Yeah, again, maybe it's just like nostalgia from our point of view, or it's...
No, I mean, when I say it's a 90s thing, I mean the 90s was genuinely better at making this kind of movie.
Yeah, well, I would agree. I would say maybe it is nostalgia, or maybe it's just like in the 90s, they just couldn't go as far, so they had to, create a movie like this. So yeah, I don't hate it, although we are going to, criticize it quite a lot because it's not a good movie, but it's not bad either. So yeah, I can see why people like it, even though I don't really like it that much. Michael, can you tell me how many nitpicks do you have?
No, I don't have any nitpicks, just because I think all of my nitpicks will fall under more substantial points.
Well, that's good to know. So yeah,
do you have any nitpicks, by the way?
Yeah, I've got 4.
Ooh.
Okay, so yeah, the end of the world song right at the start of the movie, very on the nose. I hated that. Just you could be, if it was just more in the background and it was more subtle, but no, it's just the end of the world as we know. Jesus fucking Christ, that's just that's the kind of stuff which would make me hate this movie if the stuff like that was just more prominent. But thankfully, it's not as prominent. Okay, the spaceship is way too big for them not to be able to have to see it. It's like 60 kilometers across, and everyone's like, "What is this object?" It's like, well, make it smaller then if you don't want people to know what it is. Yeah, it's not in the 1960s anymore. The technology has progressed a bit from then. David, when he tells his ex-wife, while his ex-wife is in the White House, "Hey, go to the nearest window," and it's literally like. She can just see him. Do you remember that? Like when yeah. It's like, how big is the White House? How many windows are there? But she's right next to the one he's at. That's great. And somehow my final nitpick: somehow the Twin Towers don't fall. Now, as we know from real life, the Twin Towers are very susceptible to falling. In fact, if you were to look at all the big, tall skyscrapers in New York City, you'd say, you'd put the Twin Towers falling, as the most likely of all those skyscrapers to tumble, based off, of course, previous evidence that we've seen. But these Twin Towers do not fall, even though New York is obliterated. They remain standing, tall. Yeah. So yeah, that's
because the aliens weren't working for the Jews.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the problem. The Jews, of course, in this movie are, working against the aliens, as we see.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, with Jeff Goldblum. So yeah, that's a big nitpick.
I think the rule is that if you want to take the wall down, you need the inside men on your side. This movie is actually low-key anti-Semitic. The point is, even with all this alien technology, unless you got the Jews that's the thing. The president, they should have taken the president to a little pedo island, and then that would have fixed all their problems.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so let us now get into the plot / premise of Independence Day.
Yes. So, plot / premise. The aliens are coming, and their goal is to invade and destroy Earth. Fighting superior technology, mankind's best weapon is the will to survive. I couldn't have put it better myself.
Yeah, so the idea, of course, is so simple. It's not a complicated movie. The aliens just want to blow up the Earth, and these people, the president, Will Smith, etc., they have to stop it. And again, you can see why this movie had mass appeal. When I was watching it, I was thinking it's weird. Of course, there's been a ton of alien movies throughout the decades. Of course, E.T. was back in 1982, but this had not been done before. A movie about an alien invasion on this scale, and of course, War of the Worlds is probably the closest media to this.
And that was 2000, early 2000s.
That was 2006. Yeah,
2006. Yes.
But of course, there was an original War of the Worlds as well.
Oh yeah, I forget.
But yeah, when did that come out? Well, was it Yeah, go on.
Well, I mean, there was the radio drama,
yes.
Which, of course, because you know the story of the radio drama, I thought it was real, and that must have been the 30s. I would imagine that they made a War of the Worlds film in like the 40s. Maybe. 1953.
Well, there you go. So it had been decades, and I've never heard of that 53 War of the Worlds. Probably, obviously, wasn't that great. It doesn't because it doesn't have the staying power. But yeah, because obviously you need like CGI to make it good, and I think that's why. Maybe people in Hollywood had this idea of, a movie and this movie involving an alien invasion. But again, how can you properly recreate that and get audiences to buy it if you don't have the CGI?
This is why George Lucas couldn't make the prequels yet.
Well, yeah, that is apparently why he waited almost 20 years. It was 16 years, between Return of the Jedi and The Phantom Menace, because he wanted the technology to get better, and Independence Day came along, of course, in the mid-90s. So yeah, it was just when CGI was becoming more prominent. It was, like I've often said, you got a nice balance in the 90s of like CGI, not being abused, but also it's of course helping, sell whatever story, whatever sci-fi story you've got. So yeah, and yeah, it's why I think this idea, this premise hadn't been done up until now, because you just couldn't do it like faithfully. And that was the key. And yeah, in terms of the actual what's going on in the movie, like I said, like it's dumb, but effort is taken not to have any gaping plot holes. Like sometimes when you watch these like movies, and particularly again in recent times, and there's just like a massive plot hole, which just, if you think about it, ruins the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, well, one movie I can think of that has so many plot holes it does is A Quiet Place. But yeah, also, I mean, I remember that movie. What was that movie that like came out from Amazon that was really terrible? I can't remember. Was that War of the Worlds? And it was like a remake.
Oh yeah, the one with Ice Cube.
Because it was like the one where it was the one where like it was just a guy at his laptop.
Yeah, Ice Cube.
And he used Amazon to save the day.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
That was a War of the Worlds remake, wasn't it?
That was, yeah, it was. But obviously, they did it. They did it in a different way and a worse way. But yeah, a bit different to the Tom Cruise one with Spielberg in the mid 2000s. But yeah,
yes.
that okay. So that had plot holes. This one, it has, I think, things you can nitpick, and just stupid stuff, which we'll go through. But it's doesn't. I was watching it and I'm like, everything kind of lines up. They do explain stuff. Like it's not like overtly dumb. So yeah, you can just kind of enjoy the ride, which is just what you need to do. We have seen other disaster movies, haven't we? Since then. I mean, this kicked off like the disaster movie kind of genre somewhat.
You know what, Luke? I was about to say, and I was about to ruin your entire exit. Wait, hold on. When was Deep Impact released? Wasn't Deep Impact released? Because I was about to say, like, oh yeah, Deep Impact, but I think that was released in 1995. I could be wrong.
You're wrong. I bring it up later in our review.
Good.
It was released in 98, along with another movie, of course, famously at the same time.
The disaster rate porn parody. No, fucking Armageddon.
Yes, I was like, how do you not know that? Yeah, obviously Armageddon and Deep Impact released in the same year, the same premise. And then there's Godzilla, of course, which came out in 98 as well, directed by Roland Emmerich. And then there's The Day After Tomorrow, there's 2012, so yeah, there's been plenty of disaster movies since then, but yeah, they've just
2012 was also Roland Emmerich, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm not retarded.
That is correct. Yes, he did The Day After Tomorrow as well. Yes,
did he? I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, he did. But that's the thing. So I think
he really did a lot of disaster movies. I'm just finding this out.
Yeah, a lot of these movies, and indeed the sequel to this, they're dumber. They are more dumb than this. Even like Deep Impact and Armageddon. Do you remember, or maybe you haven't seen this, like Ben Affleck talking about which one was he in? I think he was in Deep Impact. I think he was
I think he was in Armageddon because
fuck.
Deep Impact had Elijah Wood in it.
Oh, okay, right, there you go. So in Armageddon, yeah, he's doing the DVD commentary for Armageddon, and he's like, "Why would they get a bunch of oil drillers, to go up into space?" Yeah, you've heard this. His
Yeah,
DVD.
he's like bitching about the movie. Yeah,
yeah. It's like, why wouldn't you just train astronauts to do the oil drilling? And he said that to the director, and the director told him to just shut up.
Michael Bay.
Yeah, yeah. Or was it
Yes.
Michael Bay? There you go. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
You remember this better than me. Yeah, he just said, "Shut up, man. It's just a movie." And again, so
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is
Honestly, I actually think I actually love the idea that thing of when people involved in the production of the film are just honest about like the stuff that doesn't make sense. You're like, oh, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't think there's an equivalent like, wow, this is so dumb thing in Independence Day. I don't think there's like a, wait, what is going on here? Like, why is this happening? Again, you could maybe say like, oh, Will Smith, how does he know how to pilot like the alien spacecraft or whatever? But, like they've had that spacecraft for years. They've done some research on it, It's like they know what... They've got a basic gist on how to fly it, etc. Like, there's nothing as aggressively dumb as in, Armageddon. Like, the whole premise of Armageddon is stupid. So again, I'll give the movie credit for that. It's a bit smarter than a lot of the disaster movies we've seen in recent years after that came after this movie. So yeah, let's get into the production, Michael.
Yes. The idea for the film came when Emmerich was promoting Stargate in 1994. A reporter asked Emmerich why he made a film like Stargate if he did not believe in aliens. Emmerich stated he was fascinated by the idea of an alien arrival and asked the reporter to imagine what it would be like to wake up one day and to discover 15-mile-wide spaceships over the world's largest cities. Emmerich then said to Devlin, I assume Devlin is a person we're going to find out about, I think I have an idea for the next film that we will be making in the times that we will be making the films. Insane question, by the way, to say. Why make a movie about aliens if you don't believe in aliens? I mean, I suppose at the same time, like if someone made like a movie about, say, Jesus and they were an avowed atheist or Jew, you would kind of be like, why? But I kind of feel like Jesus is a little bit different from aliens.
You don't even need to think about like, oh, how viable this is. It's just...
I mean, in a way, it can work better sometimes when you don't like. Sometimes there are films where the point is that you don't know how it's happened. Like Cloverfield is an example of that, where it's sort of like it's just about the characters experiencing it. It doesn't quite work as well for this because obviously you have government people involved in things like scientists. But that idea of like people saying, oh shit, this has happened. Yeah,
it's not. But yeah, because this isn't like a smaller scale movie like Cloverfield. Like it involves the president and the plan to beat the aliens. So yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. Emmerich's like, oh yeah, what if there were 15-mile wide spaceships over the world's largest cities? And Will Smith wakes up in this movie and has that experience, of course. And he's like, just what the fuck? But yeah, then of course he was, I guess, Emmerich was like, no, we need to involve the president. We need to, involve all these big characters because, of course, humanity needs to fight back against the aliens. So yeah, no, it's again, you can think something's never going to happen, but still, create a movie about it. Of course, that's all down to your imagination. So this journalist was, I think, really wrong. In suggesting that's just because you don't believe in something doesn't mean you can't make a movie about it. Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think we can all agree journalists are always wrong. Now, to proceed, Devlin and Emmerich decided to incorporate a large-scale attack, having noticed that aliens in most films travel long distances only to remain hidden when on Earth. The two wrote the script during a month-long gay vacation in Mexico. Well, it was gay because I was so happy about the ideas they were coming up with. That's interesting as a thing, like this idea. I mean, I think I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that one of the reasons why a lot of movies have like... because I'm thinking of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and stuff. I imagine it's because then you don't have to have any sort of a production budget because you can basically just make the aliens look like people. Like the aliens come down over and just like, let's blend in with the human beings. This will be...
Yeah, well, again, it is down to budget. It is down to, CGI, how do you, like, even, again, recreate a large-scale alien invasion if you haven't got the technology to make that believable up on screen? But yeah, also, I guess, again, the biggest contrast to this movie would be E.T. Spielberg was making a point there in E.T. about how aliens, there is, you can have a special connection to an alien, and just because, you're from different worlds even, you can still be friends or whatever, and it's the US government who are the evil guys, which is based from Spielberg. But yeah, like Emmerich is kind of a dumb guy, so he's like, let's just, let's just have humanity fight back against the aliens. And guess what? The population of America in particular, and the rest of the world somewhat, they are dumb as well. So they're like, yeah, let's just kill, these aliens. The aliens are a threat, like what of our worst fears, were realized, Again, it's inherently exciting and, quite dumb as well. To assume, they just fly across the galaxy just to like destroy everything, But
yeah.
I think one of the characters says that in the movie. But yeah, apparently this is what they're doing. Okay, so yeah, there you go. It's a different kind of alien movie. It's a worse alien movie, I'd say, than E.T. It's dumber, but it's also like more primal at the same time. And that's what entices audiences, because audiences, they, as we have seen, they did look like disaster movies, and they do still like horror movies. And of course, this is kind of a horror movie somewhat, given like 100 million people die. So yeah, that's its appeal. Yes, even though it isn't as highbrow as something like E.T., for instance.
No, yeah, absolutely. I would agree, and I would say that, again, it's not necessarily a bad thing to have these silly movies. Obviously, it excludes the movie from the higher ratings a film might conceivably get if it were a little bit more nuanced in its presentation of things.
Yes.
But, I mean, you've mentioned, of course, the popularity of this film. Shall we talk about the marketing?
Yeah, because this is quite interesting, of course, because we talked about Jaws like last year in terms of, it was one of the big, Hollywood summer blockbusters, and it really set the standard for a lot of stuff. And Independence Day did that somewhat as well 20 years later.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, Fox aired a dramatic commercial during Super Bowl 30 for the film. It resulted in a trend of using Super Bowl airtime to begin the ad campaign for potential blockbusters. The film was marked with taglines like, "We've always believed we weren't alone. On July 4th, we'll wish we were." The weekend before the film's release, I was really hoping that I was going to get even more taglines to read, to be honest.
There were a few more, but I cut them. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The weekend before the film's release, Fox aired a half-hour special on the film, the first third of which was a spoof news report on the events that happened in the film. Roger Ebert partly attributed the film's success to its teaser trailers and these campaigns, calling them truly brilliant. Yeah, I can respect a marketing campaign.
Yeah, a bit of viral marketing, Yeah, and they really played into it, because obviously the iconic thing from this movie is the White House being blown up. That's the most iconic shot. And yeah,
I always think of it from Austin Powers when he's like, when Dr. Evil is like, he travels back in time, he's like, I want to blow up the White House, and then he just shows movie footage from Independence Day.
Yeah, so that is the that shot is the famous shot that's in the trailer. It's on the poster, I think, as well. Again, they just played into it like, oh, this is, our worst fears are going to be realized, that kind of thing. Yeah, and naturally, it worked because, audiences had not seen anything like this before.
No, yeah, absolutely. And yes, as you say, the box office, the film stayed in the number one spot for 3 consecutive weeks before being displaced by A Time to Kill. Wow, A Time to Kill. If it was able to displace a juggernaut like this, it must have been a really good film.
Yeah, I thought I'd just put that in because obviously, A Time to Kill is a movie we have reviewed, and it was very funny.
Yes.
So yeah.
Now imagine the aliens were white, Luke.
Yeah. So again, we can put this movie down. Well, we can put the movie's success down to a few things. I think there's, of course, like the timing. I think is crucial. July the 4th, Independence Day. This movie is called Independence Day. That helps marketing wise. A very good viral marketing campaigns as well. The fact that this movie did something, well, it had some iconic moments, and it was about these aliens blowing up the White House, the Empire State Building, etc. All of that is interesting to audiences, and plays on audiences worst fears, as we've said. And also, again, in the 90s, people were obsessed with aliens. Like, this was the alien obsessed decade. I think, like, if aliens were announced today in the year 2026, like, people just wouldn't care that much because people's brains have been so rotted with like politics, and again, like, there's the Epstein files, like there's crazy
epic Family Guy moments.
Yeah, there's crazier things going on in the news than fucking aliens.
Yeah.
Like,
also, I feel like nowadays we'd be like, aliens can't be worse than humans. That sounds like a lateral move at worst.
Well, yeah, you've seen again, what was going on Epstein's island is like all the world's richest people and presidents were all like sexually abusing kids. It's like what,
allegedly,
yeah. Like, what could be, and Epstein had blackmail on all of them, and like, all the shit that's going on in the background. It's like, how could aliens be crazier than than this. Like, of course they would be, I guess, but not that much crazier. So yeah, I don't think people would even care. But again, in the 90s, nobody thought that the presidents of the United States were pedophiles yet. The Cold War had ended, so what was the next mystery? What was the next thing that the American public were concerned about? Aliens. It's the only thing. And again, the Western world in general, that's the only thing they could feel threatened by. So that's why obviously you make a movie about aliens blowing up the whole of Earth. I may have missed a reason before as to why this movie was popular. Of course, there's like the patriotic angle from the American perspective. July the 4th,
Yes.
Independence Day. And America somewhat saved the world, although there's a bunch of other countries too. But this movie wasn't just popular in America; it was popular across the world. The international box office was more than the domestic. So, yeah, it wasn't just like Americans were really patriotic and was like, yeah, we're going to see a movie about, the president kicking, some alien ass,
Yeah.
So I just want to point that out. But yeah, people loved, the aliens in the 90s, Michael. Men in Black, of course, came out just a year later.
Yeah, it was starring Will Smith, who people
Yeah.
also like. Oh, that would have been a perfect segue. So, but yes, on that note, let's talk about the script.
Yes.
On July 2nd, 1986, an extraterrestrial ship enters Earth's orbit outside the moon and deploys its flying saucers, each 15 miles in diameter, over major cities worldwide. U.S. Marine Stephen Hiller, technician David Levinson, and his annoying gay Jewish friend, President Thomas Whitmore, and retired combat... Oh, sorry. And his annoying gay Jewish friend. President Thomas Whitmore and retired combat pilot Russell Cass are established as characters. Yes, so obviously what you'll notice there is that I thought that his annoying gay Jewish friend was President Thomas Whitmore. But yes, that was just a classic comma situation, as ambiguous commas. Anyway, yeah, what a cast of characters, eh?
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
And that's what I was thinking. Like, it's such a big deal in alien invasion. Like, you've got to cover all the bases, and of course you need to include the president. So yeah, you got 5 different stories established in the first 20 minutes. There's also there are also some Navy officers on a sub who are alerted to this as well. So yeah, there's like loads of establishing like shots or establishing scenes, with these characters. And yeah, of course the spacecraft are saucers, aren't they?
I just wish that they had some flying cups of tea on top of them. Anyway, should we talk about one particular character
Yes.
who I find to be interesting, and that character is Will Smith. So this movie has Will Smith in it, and in my view, this is good because, as you sort of said, this movie is the most movie, and Will Smith, certainly back before the incident, was considered the most actor in the 90s and the early 2000s. He was just a guy who you could put into a movie and you knew he was going to kind of fit perfectly into that generic hero role. So yeah, I guess good casting. It works well with what this movie is clearly trying to be.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like when you're watching this movie, like Will Smith is not the main character.
I know, yeah.
He's just a character, and you think about Independence Day, like the first character that comes to mind, maybe along with the president, is Will Smith. But yeah, he's not inquisitive.
Yeah, he's also introduced pretty late.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, because again, he's not the main character. I mean, I think this is the movie that made him like a superstar. Like he was already a star. Like he was already like a name like people knew. But now after this movie, he was like the biggest star in Hollywood, and especially obviously a year later, the Men in Black movie really propelled him to even bigger heights. So yeah, like this was. Yeah, Will Smith owes his career to Aliens, Clearly, that's what we can say. And Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, those two things combined. But yeah, what's crazy again is again that in terms of this movie being like a movie, Will Smith is just not that inquisitive about the aliens, like, which is kind of crazy because apparently he wants to get into NASA. But yeah, like he's just having like banter with his wife, before when there's a massive alien spaceship right above them. And yeah, is it a good thing that we don't see Will Smith's reaction to the initial attack from the aliens?
That's a question.
Because I was watching this movie and it's like, oh yeah, we don't see that. And I think like again, if Will Smith was a bigger star as he was after this movie, we definitely see Will Smith reacting to that in some way. Because again, there's like
hell no.
Yeah, there's a good chunk of the movie where he's just not in it or he's just not relevant, and and he would say something like that, like "Oh hell no," like that. There you go, perfect impression. Yeah.
No, yeah. I think ultimately he was A very good choice, and I guess it's a modest positive, but it is a positive in keeping with the line of compliment this film could be expecting. With that said, next thing, something a little bit more substantial, which is of course the fact this film is about this alien attack. So David decodes a signal embedded within global satellite transmissions, realizing that it is the aliens' countdown for a coordinated attack, aided by his ex-wife Constance. David and his annoying Jewish father, Julius, reach the Oval Office and alert President Whitmore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you enjoy Julius in this movie? The annoying Jewish. Is he meant to be annoying or is he just meant to be Jewish? I don't know.
I think obviously it's hard to tell the difference. I would agree with what you're implying.
Okay, this is what This is part of the reason why I think this movie is done, because, well, obviously it is done. But it could have been a bit better. Like, why does David think this is a coordinated attack? It could be when the aliens descend onto Earth. It's like, oh, we're going to descend onto Earth in 6 hours.
Yes,
that's you don't know it's going to be an attack. And again, it's fine to be like, oh, well, it could be, but he's like certain it's going to be an attack. So yeah, again, it's not like the biggest like plot hole ever.
I did actually sort of think this too. Yeah, like basically he seems to just take it for granted that it is an attack.
Yeah.
When it just knows something's going to happen. He's very negative. I suppose this is what they're like because of what happened to them, because of the incident. They're kind of like, they just always assume the worst.
Yeah, so that needs more explanation, and obviously he could give that explanation to the president, and I don't think the scene with the president is as dramatic as it could be, which is kind of crazy when these kind of movies rely on like this drama a lot of the time, because David's like, he gets to the White House and he's like, millions of people are gonna die, and the president, it just doesn't react. He's just like, okay, I guess we should evacuate then. It's like,
you think like it might be like a real panic, like dolly zoom.
Exactly. Like, oh, these guys aren't friendly, and they're gonna, kill us all in like 10 minutes. So we got to spring into action. But yeah, again, that's a missed opportunity in that scene. And yeah, of course, I like how him and his dad just join the president after. They're just like his family after this. They just go wherever he goes. Which is great. And you could have a line where the president says like, "Keep him with me," because obviously he's the guy that knows what's going on. But yeah, there isn't that line. I was like, when him and his dad were getting in the presidential helicopter, I was like, oh right, okay, they're just with them now, I guess. And they're not being left behind in the White House or whatever. They're just with them. So yeah, obviously that could have been explained better as well. But yeah, is it a bit unrealistic? Right, the whole thing regarding the satellites. Obviously, David works out like that they're using the Earth's satellites to communicate. Two things that could be unrealistic about that. Would the aliens need to use Earth's satellites, or could they just use their own? I mean, again, they could use the Earth's satellites, but why wouldn't they just like use their own?
This I think this is a legitimate point, because obviously it's kind of weird because the aliens in some ways seem to have a sort of lacking technological capacity, because they have all of this technology, but then they have to like piggyback off the Earth in some quite weird ways.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. It's and again, you fly like millions of light years. Can you maybe just like install your own satellites around the Earth, before you do this invasion? Apparently not. And would David, he's this incredibly smart guy. He went to MIT, whatever. He's the only one to figure this out. Maybe I'm not sure, but maybe someone else could have. But I guess it doesn't. It's not that far fetched to imagine that he did figure it out. Maybe he was one of the only few people in the world who did. But yeah, that's something again could have potentially been unrealistic, but it's not movie breaking. These plot holes I don't think are movie breaking, which I think is the crucial thing, like I said. But yeah, let's get on to the next point.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of breaking, how about when they break a whole load of monuments? Yes, Whitmore orders evacuations, but it is too late. Each saucer fires a beam, incinerating every targeted city, killing millions. Whitmore, the Levinsons, and a few others barely escape aboard Air Force One. So. Obviously, big, impactful moment. Works very much as being, a disaster movie. Yeah,
I think, the targeting of the Empire State Building and the White House is kind of stupid from the aliens, but they know how to be dramatic. Like they have a bit of flair about them, because like. Logically, if you were the aliens, you just like target the center of the city, and I guess maybe they're targeting Washington DC specifically because it's where the US government is based. So maybe it makes sense to blow up the White House. But then maybe, some people say that the Supreme Court is the most powerful body, so maybe they should have blown up the Supreme Court instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
they didn't understand the the nuances of what's the word I'm looking for when there's like distribution of powers.
Yeah, the separation of powers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't understand that. But yeah, in New York, like they just blow up like the center of New York. Like I think would they really care about specifically destroying the Empire State Building? I don't know, but it's fine either way. I don't really care. It is iconic, of course, especially when the White House gets blown up. But what I was really disappointed about was the scene when Air Force One is escaping. The fireball. The explosion that's about to engulf them, and the actors. They just don't act like this is happening to them. Like you'd expect.
I thought that was when Jeff Goldblum would have his, because obviously he says must go faster, which is of course what he also says in Jurassic Park 1. He's like, must go faster. I thought he was going to have that line here. In
this moment, I don't think the actors were told, oh yeah, you're escaping like a massive explosion. That and this this explosion is engulfing your plane, because they're just sitting like rather calmly in their chairs, like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. It's like, no, they should be seeing like fireballs, in the window, like big explosions, and they should be like, oh shit, are we going to survive? Also, I do hate the line. There's hardly any dialogue when they get onto Air Force One, and I do hate the line from David where he's like, when he's the countdown is counting down obviously, and he just goes when it hits 0. Time's up, like that, because he thinks that millions of people are going to die. That's his like hypothesis. That's what this means. Yeah. And I don't think anyone would just be so cavalier about, oh yeah, this alien invasion force, that they're gonna like kill millions of people now, aren't they? So time's up. But that's a classic movie line, that Roland Emmerich inserted into this. That's, you got to have those movie lines. That's just pure Hollywood. Even though in this moment, the character David, who's obviously concerned about humanity quite a bit, he would not again be that cavalier about this whole situation.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's. I mean, he does love a good quip, does Ian? I mean, I suppose also again, he this character, and he's very clearly based off the Jurassic Park character. He quips a lot in Jurassic Park when that's also involving people dying. So
but again, hundreds of millions of people do not die.
Quite a lot more, yes.
In Jurassic Park, and also his character Ian Malcolm is quite a bit. Well, you say it's similar somewhat. They're very smart guys who informing like this authority figure, like, oh, this is what you should do. But Ian Malcolm is a bit like crazier in that movie.
That's a bit more. That's chaos theory.
Yeah, he's a bit more out there. This guy, David Levinson, is a bit more normal. So yeah, I don't think he'd have a quippy line like that. But again, it's a very Hollywood movie, so of course we get the line. But yeah, let's talk about the fact. Of course, we've just seen this this big disaster. So yeah, let's talk about the disaster movies that came after it. Yeah.
Yes. So disaster elements portrayed in Twister and Independence Day, both in 1996, represent a significant turning point for Hollywood blockbuster films. With progress in CGI, events depicting mass destruction became common in films that soon followed, such as Deep Impact and Armageddon, both in 1998. Yeah.
So
groundbreaker. Literally,
I think,
in the case of Deep Impact and Armageddon.
Yeah, audiences love this kind of stuff, Again, there's like is it macabre? Is that the phrase, or is that the word?
Yeah, like having to do with like people dying and kind of enjoying it. And
because obviously these people aren't actually dying. Maybe macabre isn't the right word, but what I mean is, you're seeing all this destruction, but it's not real, of course. So you can enjoy it, but of course, this would be really bad if it happened, but it's not actually happening. So yeah, again, it's like just it's the same reason why horror movies are successful. That kind of dynamic. But yeah, again, I wonder what put a stop to these disaster movies. Maybe maybe 9/11 had something to do with it. Do you think perhaps? Yeah.
This is it was really funny because the weight of my newborn son was 7'7", so 7 pounds 7 ounces. And one time when this information was revealed to the family, I was like, "Oh, reminds me of that terrorist attack." Do you remember 7'7"?
Yeah, I remember 7'7".
How insensitive. That. Anyway, but I think we deserved it because we did illegally invade another country. So
7'7" isn't that? That's not much, is it?
Yeah, no one cares. Yeah, how many people died? Like 3 people died.
No. So I mean the weight.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you mean the weight? Oh, no. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I don't know if I actually told you this, but yeah. So obviously, just to tell the little story, my wife had to go into an induction because it said the baby was going to be too big, and the induction was quite an unpleasant process, as inductions kind of are, because you're basically forcing the body to give birth before it's ready. Punchline is, baby wasn't even that big. dickheads. Anyway,
Yeah.
and this is why we don't trust the doctors, and that's why we're not getting the baby vaccinated.
Good point. Good stuff.
Yes. Anyway, yeah. Oh, actually, okay. 56 people died, including the 4 bombers, though, and I think their lives should count for double because they...
it's not quite 3,000, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not quite. Yeah, honestly, like that was like genuine. It's not just thing, but like round of applause. Like they really pulled that off, and that's like. But again, obviously they had help. Anyway,
yeah.
Speaking of things happening, let's talk about action and dialogue. Each saucer launches fighters devastating the human squadrons and military bases, including Stevens. Steven lures one fighter into the Grand Canyon before ejecting from his plane and causing it to crash. He then subdues the downed alien. So this is one thing that I genuinely don't like about this film, and it stops me from considering it really good, is I do think that, and it's kind of a little bit related to a lot of what we've been saying, where the characters just aren't taking the situation they're in seriously. There's one moment where I think it's like Will Smith, they're having this fight, and he's like, obviously Stephen, but I'm going to call him Will Smith. In fact, when I read Stephen, I was like, who the fuck is Stephen? I was like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Will Smith. He's like driving around, and it like cuts to him in top cockpit, and he's like, don't shoot that green shit at me. And it's like, just unnecessary. Like, it's like you don't need to have, like, it's not like every single thing that happens needs to cut to the cockpit to have a character say a thing. And it is something that a lot of people do, but it's definitely something I think Will Smith does, and it jumped out to me in this scene.
Yeah, Will Smith gives so many movie lines. One of the movie lines that I hate the most is when he punches the alien, and says, like, welcome to Earth, like that. Like,
yeah.
Again, like...
it's like, he's like, he must constantly thinking, like, man, I wish there was someone... I wish I was in a movie right now. I'm saying such great lines.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and nobody's around to hear them. It's just when he punches that alien, he's not amazed, wow, this is an alien, this is incredible. And he just punches it and says, welcome to Earth. Yeah,
he is very... I actually do love the idea. He's just like an idiot. He's just like... He's not firing on all cylinders, and he's just like, duh, I'm going to blow him up, kill him.
Yeah. And that's part of maybe this movie's charm, you could say, that this movie doesn't feel serious, or you could say, if you wanted to be more negative, that it's why this movie is so dumb. If this movie had a tone which wasn't as light, or wasn't as like comedic at times, then maybe this movie would be too depressing. Because you think about how the movie ends, like, it's a happy ending. When Will Smith says to his like adopted son or whatever, like, oh yeah, didn't I tell you I'd promise you fireworks or whatever? And because these planes are going across the desert, and it looks cool. But 100 million people again have died. I'm just using that number, by the way, because I think it's probably like the most accurate. Yeah. Like, the world is completely fucked. Like, all major cities have been destroyed. It is not a happy ending, even though you've defeated the aliens, because again, things are going to get a lot more difficult now in the future for the whole of humanity. It's just kind of crazy that, again, these lines exist in this movie that of course come from Will Smith in particular, considering what is going on in the background. And again, that's part of why people say this movie is dumb. It is Hollywood like popcorn like slop. But I don't think it's too awful, because again, you could just say the movie knows what it is. The movie knows what it is, so it's not trying to be too serious. And maybe that's part of the reason why other movies in the future, haven't had the same success as this movie, is because they did take themselves too seriously and also at the same time weren't good. This isn't good, and it knows it. And maybe that's the key to why it was successful, even if, of course, given the events that have happened, you would imagine the characters, particularly again Will Smith, would take things more seriously. But there's a reason why they don't. Yeah, do you get me? Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that does make sense. Anyway, so let's move on to what they do next in their defense strategy. The Defense Secretary reveals since 1947, a sect of the US government has known about aliens when one of their fighters crashed near Roswell. Whitmore travels to Area 51, which houses the ship and alien corpses. Does it house more than one corpse? I didn't realize that.
It houses 3, you fucking retard.
Okay, whatever. I don't know. I just thought that the room had mirrors. There he meets Mr. Brackish Oaken. Yeah. Normal, very normal name. I think he might be an alien. Very
normal name. And do you know who plays Dr. Brackish Oaken?
No.
Brent Spiner. And do you know...
Yes, yeah. And
do you know who Brent Spiner also plays?
He also plays someone in Star Trek.
Yes, he does.
Okay,
well done.
I know that only because I googled his name and the person who came up with Star Trek.
Okay, well,
sorry.
He plays Data in Star Trek.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Of course, Data is normally like a very reserved character because he has to be, because he's an android who doesn't have emotions. So yeah, Dr. Brackish Oaken is this crazy guy who, of course, has, quite a few emotions. So yeah, nice for Brent Spiner to be in a sci-fi property, and he gets to actually act, which is good for a change for him. But yeah, okay. So the Area 51 facility, I wanted to talk about this because it's such bullshit, man. Like, there's 100 people working here. You know, you can't keep that a secret. I'm sorry. Like, what did they do all day? Like, they've got 3 alien corpses. They got an alien ship. I was
kind of thinking this too. Like, yeah, what are they doing in this building?
Yeah, like, have they just been researching stuff for like 30 years? Like, surely there's a limit to what they can discover.
I like to think they're just like, okay, like there's just a guy there, like, on a chair. He like glance at it. Yep, still an alien.
Yeah. All these people, all these decades, and apparently they haven't produced anything useful. It's not a plot-breaking, moment or a movie-breaking moment, but it's not a big plot hole, but it is kind of a plot hole. Why would you not tell the president, like, once you know that the object in the sky, is an alien object?
Yeah, they're a bit kicked because he's like, actually, sir, that's not strictly true when he says like the whole. It's like, yeah, you would have thought they'd have, volunteer that information a bit more readily in that situation.
Yeah, so that guy's the Secretary of Defense, and apparently he was the ex-head of the CIA, so that's how he knows about this. But again, so he says, we didn't want to tell you, Mr. President, because of discretion or whatever.
It's like plausible deniability, that was it.
Yeah, plausible deniability, that was it, yeah. And again, you don't need to have the president be, denying aliens exist when, of course, there's aliens literally, over every major city in the world. That's when it's like, okay, the cat's out the bag. We can just tell the president now because there's no point in holding that information. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, after all of this shit has gone down with the aliens killing, all these people, all these major cities. Yeah. It takes fucking Jeff Goldblum's angry Jewish dad to say what does he say? Like, what about Area 51, huh? What about all the research? Oh, what have you been doing all these years, huh? Yeah. And that's when the CIA or the Secretary of Defense, ex-CIA director is like, you know what? Maybe I should tell the president about Area 51. Maybe I should do it then. Yeah. So again, that's another.
He'd actually forgotten, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's whoops.
Yeah." Sorry, Mr. President, with all the commotion, I just forgot about Area 51.
Like, brain fart.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So maybe that's the best explanation as to why he didn't inform the president. But yeah, it's a stupid moment. It could have been done better, but yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. Dr. Oaken examines the alien captured by Stephen, which awakens, telepathically invades Oaken's mind, and physically attacks Whitmore before being killed. Whitmore learns the invaders' plan from the attack. They intend to annihilate Earth's people and harvest its natural resources, as they have done to other worlds. Despite its reputation as a massive CGI festival, the movie relied heavily on practical effects, including miniatures for the city explosions and actual puppets for the aliens, which gave it grounding and charm. Well, I mean, that is kind of the thing, right? Because obviously, CGI in some ways was worse back then, but in other ways it was kind of better. I mean, this is why everyone says kind of like the early 2000s was the best era for CGI, because that's when they were kind of
that's kind of what I said before, but I said in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So obviously, the fact they used those practical effects, I mean, it makes sense. I'm sure at this time it was probably cheaper to let practical effects do some of the work. But yeah, obviously, definitely makes the movie better.
Yeah, no, it does. And I do like how the aliens look. They've got this biomechanical outer shell, and inside they are kind of like the aliens from Roswell. Which makes sense, of course, because naturally, these aliens are apparently the same ones that crashed in New Mexico in the early 1950s. So yeah, I think the aliens are neat, and I do have an issue though with the psychic attack that the alien does to the president, because it's so convenient. It's like the president's like, why can't we work together? Why can't there be peace, etc. And then this alien is like, nah, we're gonna kill you all. Apparently this has happened to other civilizations. So yeah, we all know the stakes now. And it's not a massive issue, but it's just pretty convenient.
It makes it like you can tell exactly why that happens for the sake of the writing. It's like, well, we've got to make it so people know what is at stake here. Oh, I know, it's like attack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, I don't know why the alien would psychically attack the president in that moment, but because of course, he gets shot right after. They're evil now. So okay, and of course the president after goes, nuke the bastards, like that. Another great movie line. But basically, you know, like, okay, whatever we do to these guys, you know, it's justified. You know, like they're the most evil antagonists imaginable. We can, you know, forget anything about, you know, them being peaceful or working together. You know, we'll just kill them all. That's the only solution. You know,
kill them all and let God sort them out.
Yeah, it makes things incredibly simple. So again, that's why the scene was in the movie.
And speaking of stakes, let's talk about the President of the United States. Whitmore reluctantly authorizes a nuclear attack against a saucer above Houston. Houston is destroyed, but the saucer's force field protects it from the blast. So I did think it was interesting. They tried to give the president a semblance of a character arc where obviously it starts off and they're like, oh man, the thing about the president, they say that he's too young, which is weird because to me he doesn't actually seem that young. Like maybe I'm just crazy. I just think he looks like, you know, kind of the same age as Obama was. I guess Obama was, who gives a shit? Anyway, basically this whole thing about like he's not strong enough on these issues, and obviously then he has this kind of thing that puts that to the test. I think to make this movie better, if we were to be so ambitious as to imagine such a thing, it probably would have needed to have some kind of like moment where the president sort of doubts himself, or like basically make that more of a through line. So it's kind of, it starts off always kind of weak, and then maybe there's like a second act moment where he really kind of doubts his strength, which didn't really have like a moment like that. He's I mean, it doesn't actually seem particularly weak at all throughout the entire movie. And then obviously, you know, he has the big moment at the end where he gives the speech and then he literally goes and fights them. So I guess the point is like, it's really basic characterization. Oh, they think he's really weak. And like, we're just told overtly that's his problem. And then they deliver on that by, oh, look, at the end, he gives a speech and everyone cheers. And oh, look, he's a leader now of bumfuck nowhere because everywhere else has been destroyed.
Yeah, well, yeah, just because of America is destroyed, you know, you still care, obviously. But yeah,
I don't care. If without New York, America is nothing to me.
Yeah, I think his character arc is underdeveloped. Like, he needs to be a bit depressed at the start of the movie. Yeah, he needs to be a bit more depressed than he is, because his assistant, obviously Jeff Goldblum's ex-wife, whatever she's called, like she's like more depressed, or she's more irritated than him that he's not doing well in the polls, and he's just like, I'm fine. You know, I've got my wife, my healthy wife, who's in LA, and nothing's going to happen to her. He isn't really affected by his wife dying as much as you think. Obviously, it's meant to be depressing for him, but yeah, he just kind of gets over it, you know. And yeah, again, it would be better if his character arc was given, you know, more thought. To be honest, I think, because yeah, that would make his speech even better, because he does give a good speech, you know.
Yeah.
Of course,
Independence Day, mankind.
We're going to live on. This will be our Independence Day or whatever. So let's talk about the speech, because it is a good speech. But is it a bit too jingoistic? Maybe.
I think it's a little bit too jingoistic, but that's because I hate America.
But although, you know, they are trying to kill off all these aliens, you know, who are killing them. So I think it's fine to be a bit jingoistic, you know. And I do. Is it like a bit narcissistic that, like, oh, well, maybe that's the wrong word, but okay, like Independence Day.
Masturbatory.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that July the 4th is, you know, America's Independence Day. But now, after this event, Independence Day is the world's day. Everyone is going to celebrate on July the 4th. So everybody around the world is going to celebrate America's special day, you know. Because again, outside of America, obviously no one cares about July the 4th because it's their holiday, naturally. Like, nobody cares about...
Sorry, Luke. Let's be real. As British people, we do have... It is a national day of mourning for us. We do kind of cry ourselves to sleep every July 4th.
Yeah. But for instance, you know, nobody cares about Canada's, Independence Day, which is July the 1st. But now everyone cares about July the 4th all around the world because it's that special holiday, you know.
I would love to see the version of this where it's where it does happen to coincide with Canada's Independence Day, and it's like, and you just have the American president being like, this will be the world's Independence Day. No, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, and obviously you have that scene where like the British people in Iraq are like, oh, the Americans are putting together a resistance about bloody time. Like, this does, I would say, and it's funny because Roland Emmerich obviously is not American, but when I said masturbatory, you said it was the wrong word, but I kind of did mean, I felt it's very like kind of American exceptionalism. The entire world is just waiting for America to do something.
I would say that's fair though, because America, in the mid-90s, nobody had a military close to America. Yeah. So honestly, like this, you know, nowadays, again, if this movie was set in 2026,
we'd all look
like
to China.
The Chinese would have a say as well, but the Chinese weren't ready to have a say in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And Russia again, they were still kind of powerful, but not really. Obviously, after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So yeah, it was America, as is often said, they were the only superpower in the world in the 1990s. It was the American, decade. They won the Cold War, etc. So yeah, I think it makes sense that everybody's looking to the Americans for leadership. I don't think that's controversial at all. But what I will say is, it is kind of, again, the fact that this movie is set on July the 4th, and it's like, yeah, our Independence Day is now the world's Independence Day, because that's just how special a country we are. It's kind of maybe the logic if you were being a bit harsh, but yeah, again, Roland Emmerich is German, so I think maybe it is a bit too harsh, perhaps, because he's just like, oh yeah, we're celebrating our Independence Day from the aliens. What day is Independence Day? Oh, July the 4th. Hey, guess what? July the 4th, that's in the summer, and we want this to be a big summer blockbuster, so yeah. Like it all works. So I think
why didn't you celebrate Germany's Day of Independence from International Jewry, which I believe was sometime in 1933?
Yeah, that would have been better perhaps. But yeah,
although that didn't actually end up successfully, so I suppose that's why he didn't bother.
Yeah, what I do like, by the way, is of course the president leads his his fighter squadron into battle, and it's quite similar, of course, to George Washington. Who of course was a general, fought in the War of Independence. So I don't know if this movie was purposely doing it, but I was like, oh yeah, like, if this is to be America's like second Independence Day, or the world's Independence Day, then of course you would have the president, the stand-in for George Washington, actually participating in the battle, which is what of course he does. So yeah, I think that was pretty good. That was a pretty neat idea there from the movie.
Yeah, a little bit of it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, it is like poetry. It does rhyme. And yeah, I think a lot of Americans really like Bill Pullman as they think he's like the greatest movie president ever. Americans love to see themselves like as the underdog, because that's what they were in the Revolutionary War, back in 1776. So even though, of course, things have changed differently, they still like to see themselves as the nation that always wins and is going to kick ass, and it's hard to do that, obviously, when you're the world superpower. But now, of course, you're the world's you're the underdog.
You're the world's final hope.
Yeah, and you're the underdog against this massive alien invasion. So yeah, again, I think that's why Americans like this president quite a lot. Or Bill Pullman as the president in this movie, and of course the speech as well. That helps too.
Yes, yeah, and also it is more justifiable back before America. I don't know, like I suppose America was less evil in the 90s simply because they'd done less stuff. Like that's it. America just gets more and more evil every single year.
That's a good point.
So yeah, basically the earlier buy American morality stocks early. That's my advice. Anyway, so from the human fight to the alien fight, let's talk about the alien strategy. On July 4th, David devises a plan to write a computer virus on his laptop and upload the virus into the mothership's operating system to disable the alien shields, then using a nuclear weapon to destroy the mothership. Yes, so obviously you kind of already touched on this, but basically the things with like the aliens, the fact they're using like Earth satellites and things like that, like it seems like the aliens have some really obvious deficiencies, and this is one of those things where obviously if you were to do some nitpicking, this would be the easiest place to do it if we wanted to be all cinema sinsy. So to me, the alien strategy at the beginning is kind of silly. I thought it was very silly that they like blew up that ship and made it clear they were sort of hostile prematurely. Like, actually, you'd think that if they're supposed to be this advanced civilization, they could work out, for example, that pretending to befriend the humans would be better. Obviously, I get it. The movie's just supposed to be big and loud and bombastic. But yeah, the alien strategy, and just in general, the fact that they kind of don't have much security around the ship. Like, oh, well, this ship looks like our ship. I mean, I suppose maybe it makes sense because they wouldn't have any reason, like maybe they don't keep track of their ships crash landing and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to know what you think. Do you think that the fact that they are able to defeat the aliens in this way is unrealistic? And if so, how much so? I'll just say my position is I feel like it probably is, but it's at least it's just about suspending my disbelief.
Yeah, it is unrealistic somewhat. I mean, the thing is, the aliens, they target the cities, of course, first and foremost. I think that's fine, but they should also target, where the humans' weapon systems are,
That's a good point, yeah.
They should also, nukes. They should also do that. And I don't know if they'd be aware. But, like, again, destroy more US military bases, And yeah, of course, they find out where the US forces are located at the end. But like again, you could have done that before, maybe. Sorry, what was your question again?
Oh, basically, just do you think that the ultimate way that they're able to kind of defeat the aliens by piloting the ship in and uploading a virus, and the fact the aliens don't really have a defense against that?
No, of course,
it makes sense.
Yeah, so the aliens, first and foremost, should have done a better job invading Earth, and also, the plan to defeat them. Will the virus be able to infect the aliens? I mean, maybe Jeff Goldblum is a genius. I don't know.
I remember Watch Mojo had like a video about like top 10 dumbest endings or something, and I swear it's on there. It's like they were like, because it totally makes sense that an alien computer would be running Windows XP. I was like, well, to be fair, I imagine like there was a certain point in computer science where computers are just computers.
Yeah. Again, I'm not really sure. Can you upload a virus into the aliens systems using a fucking 90s MacBook Pro? I mean, probably not. Probably it's probably stupid. But again,
well, I remember. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to say that I remember like people used to say, "Oh, Macs don't even get viruses because all viruses are written for Windows." I remember that being like a talking point in the early 2000s. So that suggests that viruses are weirdly kind of operating system specific. But what do I know?
That's a good point. Yeah, and also this virus, it only takes out the shields. If I was Jeff Goldblum, I'd say, hey, this virus takes out their weapon systems as well, and their ability to move, their power. But no, it just takes down the shields.
Well, also the oxygen supply, because they breathe oxygen.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, the shields are. We need to just take down the shields because we need the president and everyone else to they need to be the heroes. And not Jeff Goldblum. But yeah, what I did think actually at the end, it is like Star Wars, and Roland Emmerich apparently is a fan of Star Wars, which makes sense. You got this like Death Star thing pointed at the Rebel base, which is of course this flying saucer about to blow up Area 51, and that is the best combo for a climax. You've got one group who is like taking down like the shields, which of course is what Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith are doing, and then you've got another group like hitting like the main base, waiting for the shields to be down, and that's obviously what the president and all the fighter jets are doing. And then at the same time, you've got this massive threat. We need to do this within the next like minute, otherwise this base is going to get blown up, which of course is like similar to the first Star Wars movie. So I think you got a good formula there.
You could say they covered all their bases.
Yes, and Roland Emmerich might have ripped off Star Wars, but it creates a good ending though. So there you go.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, very good ending. Now let's talk about that attack that is enabled by this. The US military contacts other squadrons through Morse code to organize a united counterattack. Whitmore enlists volunteers, including Russell, to fly the remaining jets. Once the shields are down, Whitmore's squad engages a saucer targeting the Area 51 base. As the saucer readies to fire, Russell sacrifices himself, crashing into its primary weapon, destroying it. Resistance groups worldwide are told about the saucer's weakness, leading to their destruction. Two things. First of all, I love how we haven't even mentioned Russell at all. And second of all, the fact the aliens presumably don't know how Morse code works or can't instead is another example of the aliens, like, in some ways being so much more advanced than us, but in other ways, like, some random journalist was able to decode their, like, alien stuff, but even though they know enough about human civilization to know, for example, the importance of the president, where the president lives and stuff like that, they never bother to learn that much about how we communicate with each other. They really, Alexander the Great would be annoyed at their kind of strategizing.
Maybe they were just too arrogant,
That could be
Maybe that's the issue. Again, you don't really know a lot about the aliens. But so, again, every like nitpick is like can be potentially explained away.
Yeah.
Maybe apart from a couple. But yeah, so this is where I have a problem with the movie in terms of it not being dramatic enough. The president, he says, this is going to be the largest aerial battle in human history, but it's not built up properly. This big speech is given by him, but that's it. There's no shots of pilots around the world preparing for battle. Fighter jets, in China, in the Middle East, in South America, in Europe, in Africa. It doesn't just, it doesn't happen. And then the battle actually does feel a bit small because we only see this one saucer when there are, at least a dozen of them throughout the world.
Yeah.
Again, I maybe there were budget limitations, of course, but yeah. Let's talk about Russell's sacrifice. As you say, we haven't mentioned him. He appears here and there in the movie. He's not that big a character, but yeah, he obviously has a good a good ending. And it's iconic. And also at the same time, it does seem quite gay. Him saying hello. Sorry.
You're all right. It does seem. Sorry, no, yeah. I mean, I didn't actually. That wasn't something on my radar, but now you mention it, I'm kind of like, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, thank you. He goes, "Hello, boys, I'm back," like in a high pitched voice, and it's like, I don't know. Honestly, when I saw that,
I love how offended you are.
how offended I am.
You sound like you're kind of like, oh, when I saw that, I was like, is this really, is this really how this guy is choosing to go out like that? Like a it's putting up some homophobic vibes. Personally, this is my assessment.
I don't want to be homophobic,
Okay,
so
that's fine then.
yeah, but I will say, yeah. When I first saw that clip before I'd seen the movie, and I honestly thought that guy was trying to be gay in that clip, or obviously Russell, before I actually saw the movie. Or when I say trying to be gay, he was putting on.
You thought he was intentionally being gay.
He was putting on like a gay voice, so the character maybe was gay or whatever. So, but no, apparently not. So yeah, but it's a good moment there. That's just what came into my mind when I saw it. Yeah, it's because it's the boys. The fact that he goes, "Hello, boys," like that. He didn't need to go that far. No, I mean it's fine. It's still a great moment.
You never go full hey boys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Anyway, let's close by talking about everyone's favorite character, Ian Malcolm. Stephen and David launched the nuclear missile and escaped the destruction of the mothership and all the aliens in it. So it's a well-known fact that the greatest blockbuster of all time is called Jurassic Park. It's just a very well-written movie. And in a way, with this movie, it's also endeavoring to be not necessarily the best in terms of quality, but certainly the most blockbustery blockbuster. So I think, in my assessment, to be fair, I think to some extent this is just Jeff Goldblum being like Jeff Goldblum. But I do think this character, he did give Ian Malcolm vibes in that his whole thing is he's, obviously he's very smart. And he also is kind of the person pushing back against the more brutish side of science. I mean, obviously that goes without saying Jurassic Park, but here has the whole thing like he's really upset about the idea of them using nukes. I know, yeah, I just thought it was a similar character. And personally, I like Ian Malcolm. And in general, I'll say this. I liked this film's variety of quirky characters. I liked that it had Carl, gay Carl from The Simpsons in it. Remember? Homer's secretary?
Yeah, sorry, I was going to mention that before, but I forgot. But yeah, Firestein, that's the guy.
Yeah,
what was the guy's first name?
Harvey Firestein?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Because of Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah, I mean, these characters are kind of fun. Again, it fits in with the tone of the movie. It's not taking itself so seriously. And yeah, I like how you... Yeah, well, yeah, Godzilla, had some fun characters too, but wasn't a good movie. So yeah, you do need the movie to go to be somewhat decent for these characters not to be annoying. But yeah, do you let's talk about Jeff Goldblum. Do you think it's a bit hacky that he said the "must go faster" line?
This is an interesting question. I guess the strict answer is yes. I think it is, and I don't really see the point in it. Like there's so many other lines in this movie. It's sort of like, I mean, obviously, when he says it in Jurassic Park, it's when they're being chased by the T-Rex. And I will say this, obviously, the problem is that a T-Rex is objectively cooler than an explosion.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I will say, I think Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith have good chemistry, which obviously makes sense because they're two like charismatic actors in different ways. But yeah, it's like, what? It's like Kobe and Shaq. That's a great comparison I just made.
Yeah.
Kobe is like Will Smith, because he's the young up and comer. Jeff Goldblum's more established, but still in his prime. He's like Shaq, and it's like what you're seeing with Kobe and Shaq together. It's like, wow, this is incredible, And until when they were actually together, you didn't realize how good they were going to be. And once they separated, you didn't realize how good they were. They were until you actually look back and like, wow, yeah. And to see these like two A-listers in this scene, again at the time you're watching it, in '96, you couldn't appreciate, like how good these scenes were. Because yeah, like is Will Smith one of the most famous actors of all time, and Jeff Goldblum's not quite up there, but like he's almost up there. But yeah, no, it's very good. I will say actually just a couple of issues. I see. So much of being very good, you bastard. Well, not with Jeff Goldblum, but stuff his character says. Again, it's meant to be a smart character, but it's a dumb movie. So he says, like, when the aliens are positioning themselves over like the cities, he says, it's like chess, like.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and he says like checkmate a couple of times. Like nobody, like if you just like chess, like casually, like he apparently does, you don't constantly make chess references like throughout your life. Yeah, it's like, okay, we get it, man. You play chess. That's not crazy. Also, the way he gets his idea for his plan, about uploading the virus into the aliens, operating system.
Yeah.
He gets. It's so fucking dumb. Like it's very hacky writing. He gets it because his dad says, "Oh, you're going to catch a cold."
Oh yeah.
And he's like,
that's a classic
cold.
thing they love to do in movies. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's why I said before this is the most movie. He's like, "Oh wait, cold, virus. Thank you, Dad. You're a genius." Like it's so dumb. This character, even though I think he gives a good performance, it is like a dumb guy's idea of a smart guy.
Oh yeah.
Like in terms of how he gets his ideas and just the fact that he constantly mentions chess all the time. That's what smart people do, right? They just mention chess because they like chess.
Damn kings.
Yeah, but there you go, Dr. Ian Malcolm. Like you said, he should be in more movies, shouldn't he?
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. I also think you mentioned like the wasn't saying must go faster. Was it hacky? I think it would be better if he said must go faster, and then it kind of like transitions to him being in the back of the Jeep in Jurassic Park. You realize that the entirety of the independence of that movie so far was him just having a dream while he's in a semi-conscious state, with his leg broken in the back of the Jeep in Jurassic Park, and the rest of the movie is just Jurassic Park. I think that would have been bolder.
That'd be a nice twist. Yeah.
Yes, but anyway, with that said. Let's talk about the ending.
Yep.
Humanity celebrates its victory against the aliens. Stephen and David are rescued after surviving the crash and are reunited with their stripper wife and ex-wife, respectively. Yes, would you rather have a stripper wife or an ex-wife?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Like a gay son versus thought daughter.
We haven't talked about the fucking strip. What's she called? What's the actress's name? It's Vivica A. Fox. That's
yes.
Who of course appeared in Cool Cat. We can't forget that.
Yeah.
Cool Cat and Independence Day, which is the worst movie. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why she's a stripper. Oh yeah, she rescues the president's wife as well. But yeah, we don't really care about the female characters, and we don't really care about Jeff Goldblum's ex-wife. She doesn't really do anything for the second half of the movie. She just cheers on Jeff Goldblum and they get back together.
Yeah, like a real woman should.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is a movie about the man. This is a movie about the president who is a man and always will be a man.
Yes.
It's about Will Smith, the pilot, about Jeff Goldblum, who does all the tech stuff and saves the day that way. Yeah. So and they get to celebrate with cigars. And you know what? Jeff Goldblum looks cool at the end of the movie, doesn't he, with that cigar? Does that prove that Jews can be as cool as black people?
Honestly, like this movie is actually good Jew propaganda because I think like everything about it, it's just. I mean, Jeff Goldblum in general, I think is he does Jews well because he's also. I would say Jeff Goldblum is reasonably attractive. Like he's not like. Incredibly attractive. I would say he's kind of got a certain obviously he's kind of charming in what's it called, Jurassic Park. No, yeah, and also he's aging well. Oh, isn't he? Oh, isn't he aging well? So I would say, Jeff Goldblum. I think that you couldn't ask for a better representative for Jews. Other than the state of Israel.
Okay, I was going to agree with you until the end there, but yeah, I think the message of this movie: family is what's important. Divorce is evil. Don't get divorced. Families need to stick together. That's a common theme in Roland Emmerich movies. So yeah, it's the same. It's the same in this movie. But yeah, I did think, by the way, the president was going to give another speech at the end. But no, we have to end on look, there's fireworks in the sky because it's July the 4th. We have to end on a happy note instead of the president going, yeah, millions have died, but you know what, we stuck at it because maybe that would be a bit too depressing.
No, yeah.
But yeah, no.
I don't want to know what it took to get there. I just want to know we're there.
Yeah, all's well that ends well. I think that's fair to say. So let's conclude, Michael.
Yes. So I mentioned that this movie. I went to watch it and I saw that it had. I'd rated it 5 out of 10 on IMDb, and I thought, as I watched the movie, I thought 5 seems kind of harsh, to be honest. I think I probably would have given it a high 5, and you know what? I'm going to now elevate that. I think this is a low 6. I think it's got issues, but I would say this film, and this is something I often say about this kind of film, watchable. Considering this film's 2.5 hours, by the way, it really isn't that difficult to just. And also, I mean, here's the crazy thing, right? Obviously, we've been watching a whole load of football. I felt like my brain was melting from all this football I've been watching and just sitting down watching shit. It's so such hard work. And now I'm like, and now I've got to watch a 2.5 hour movie. Honestly, it really wasn't that hard to get through, and I think that is a major compliment. Having said that, there are obviously issues. Arguably, you could justify higher than a low 6 in spite of those issues. But yeah, for me, I'm going to say it's a low 6 because it is ultimately quite a stupid movie with many underdeveloped aspects. But yeah, surprisingly good.
So what did you give it? Sorry,
a low 6.
Low 6. Yeah, right. So I think, you know what, I'm going to give it a 4 because of July of the 4th. No, I'm not. I think it's better than a 4. I can maybe say it's a middling 5, so a 5.5. That's what I'm going to give it. Because yeah, it's still a dumb movie. It's still got a lot of flaws, but it is also kind of fun, and yeah, that does save it somewhat. And again, I don't think it's aggressively dumb. So I think it's passable. It's fine. It's okay, Michael. It's not the end of the world. Unlike obviously what happens in this movie. Like that. Yeah. Right, so yeah, Independence Day. So yeah, let's go through what we predicted for Supergirl, of course,
yes.
Which has come out. You predicted it would get 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, for the record, I don't know what it actually got, so
have you not heard about the reaction?
I mean, like, obviously, the thing is now with everything being on the internet, I just assume, like, if I hear about something having a bad reaction, I assume it's racist and sexist. But do serious people not like it?
No, because I guessed it would get 79 on the Rotten Tomatoes score. It in fact is on 56 right now. So that is very bad. So that means, Michael, you were 32 off. I was 23 off. So yeah, you were winning by 13. Now you're only winning by 4 because I closed.
I like it when it gets closer. It would be boring if one of us ran away with it.
I've closed the gap by 9 points, but of course we were both miles off with what we thought. Yeah, Supergirl was going to get on Rotten Tomatoes, and especially you. So yeah, that'll be fun to review that movie. So what are we going to review next, Michael?
Oh God, I didn't plan this out at all. What are we?
We are going to review 300 because
I love that movie. Oh wait,
it's 20 years.
No spoilers.
It's 20-year anniversary, and of course, the release of The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan is coming out soon. So yeah, join us for that in a couple of weeks' time. Couple of weeks' time. Sorry. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thanks for listening, and yeah, have a happy July the 4th, everyone. God bless America, and goodbye.
Goodbye.